The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our Patreon. Score exclusive perks and content available only to our patrons at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Sunday, July the 30th, and we have a 10-game card of MLB action to look through for Monday, July the 31st. Joining me with his PSG top on, looking all very continental in soccer, Dylan, Mr. Dylan Rockford. Dill, how are you?
I'm doing well, Mal. Good to be with you. We haven't done a pod in a while together, but, you know, the schedule said me and you. I was like, I got to get my football jersey on.
Yeah.
You like how I said football and not soccer, right?
You're getting that. I tell you what, slowly, brick by brick, I am bringing you boys round inch by inch. Get you and Moonaf, and you're starting to use the proper words for stuff now. The Newcastle game was in your neck of the woods. Was that Friday night, I think Newcastle played. But we tried to get you some tickets, but it was half empty. But I'm normally okay for getting Newcastle tickets. I know a coach at the club, and then one of my friends works in the media at Newcastle. But the club had nothing to do with the ticket sales, so it was all through Ticketmaster. Uh-huh. And then it was dead expensive. You couldn't get all the tickets. And then I put the game on TV, and the place looked half empty, Dylan. What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, New Jersey's just not a football state, I would say. I don't even know who they played, to be honest. Do you know who they played?
I do know who they played, yeah. We played Brighton, and we beat them 2-1. We weren't very good, actually. You didn't miss much. They kind of named a bit of a shadow squad because they've been out there they played on the Tuesday or the Wednesday. So they named a bit of a shadow squad. It's been a really fun series. There's been lots of goals in the games. And we came back from 1-0 down and 1-2-1 late on. So, the season starts soon. If you are into your soccer, football, the Premier League show is loads of fun. We just tonight, we launched episode number 1. We're doing all 20 team previews. And the first one launched a couple of hours ago with Liverpool. And then Brentford are going to be next up. We're releasing them in the morning. So we're releasing 2 a day. So if you want some football chat, go and
I love it.
Find the Premier League show. I mean, the reason we're stalling here, Dylan, and talking a lot of bollocks is that most of these games are off the board for tomorrow. We've got the old Sunday night issues here. We've got 10 games, and there was only 4, I believe, on the board, even though we've got pictures for most of them. So we can cobble together some analysis. You will have the Rockford lines. But yeah, the usual Sunday night problems, Dylan.
Yeah, it's always how it is. I don't know why, especially like you mentioned, we have pictures for most of the games. But I guess they're just a little slow, but have no fears. I have my lines for everyone. Yeah,
we love the Rockford lines. Slick Rick is first in the comments tonight. Evening, Rick. How are you doing? I mean, plenty of days ball. There's days ball ongoing as we speak. There's been some games today. The Cubs lost their 8-game losing streak. The Royals won a game. Braves score loads at home again. The Blue Jays can't be trusted. The Phillies can't be trusted. And the Tampa Bay Rays really needed that win. And what I'm the most pleased to see about what's happening live is the Reds are 7-0 up at the Dodgers. The Reds have put Michael Grove to the sword early doors. And it's my man, Graham Ashcraft, man licensed to print money. Graham Ashcraft has currently held the Dodgers scoreless through 3. Slick Rick enjoyed the Josh Palacios walk-off. Who was that for? Was that Kansas City? Who does Josh Palacios play for, Dylan? Come on. Pop quiz.
Yeah, you're putting me on the spot right now. I haven't even heard this guy's name.
Oh, no. What a shambles, neither have I. Come on. Slick Rick, tell us who it is. Ryan Mara's here. Hello, Ryan. Good evening. If you are in the YouTube, come and say hello. If
the Pittsburgh Pirates, they walked it off against the Phillies.
There you go. If you've never joined us live before, why the hell not? You should do. It's loads of fun. Come in. It's always scheduled on YouTube. You can find us. Okay, so tomorrow, no days ball, 10 games. We will try our best, starting with 6:40 Eastern first pitch. The Philadelphia Phillies at the Miami Marlins. Philly is officially TBD, but we both think it's Taijuan Walker. For Miami, we have Edward Cabrera. And this is where we're going to have to throw across to you, Dylan, for an impromptu line. What have you got?
Yeah, like Malcolm said, no lines up, but I did make the Phillies a short -105 favorite, -1.5 with the Phillies. I need at least a +155. I set my total at 8.4. So Taijuan Walker, I expect, is going for the Phillies. He does give up a little more contact and runs on the road than at home this season, but the Phillies have won his last 3 starts on the road, and to be honest, they are playing better baseball right now than the Marlins. I know they got walked off today by the Buccos, but they're still playing better baseball than them. And for whatever reason, the Marlins have had a really tough series against the Tigers. Tigers are giving them everything. Usually Miami's really good at home, but their pitching, their bullpen, they've been a problem for the Marlins. Not really their bats. Scoring runs hasn't been the issue, but Edward Cabrera, he's undefeated at home this season, and the Marlins only lost 1 game in Miami that Cabrera started, dated back all the way, I think, in early April. So, his hard hit rate isn't even in the 20s. He's very good at home. I think if you do like the Fish tomorrow, you better take him in the first 5 while Cabrera's still on the mound, because when this bullpen comes on, they kind of blow it for them a little bit. You saw it today against the Tigers. So depending on what the lines open up, if we get a big plus money with the home dog, I'll probably see myself on the Phillies, or maybe Phillies first 5 +0.5, but something along those lines.
I quite like the Marlins in this. What swung me, I wanted to take them, but they were in such bad form. But they have picked up a win tonight. Yeah. They've beaten the Tigers 8-6. Eventually got some runs. David Robertson's picked up a save there, Dylan. I'm sure he used to play for the Mets, didn't he, quite recently? But Walker, he's okay. He walks too many batters, Taijuan Walker. Like you said, he has been giving up some hard contact lately. Cabrera has been unreliable lately, but I think being at home is key for him. He seems to be, him and Miami actually are both a lot happier at home. Miami have got this really good home record, 32-21. Both teams are in a funk. No two ways about it. Philly, again, turned over tonight. Miami did get a win tonight. And that home record, there's not much between the pitches, but that home record and the fact that they got that win tonight, hopefully Miami can put another one on top of that. And I will take Miami. I can't believe we haven't mentioned, just talking about David Robertson, Dylan, the rest of the New York Mets. You thought I'd let you off, didn't you? Well, we're going to talk about it now. Tell me about Max Scherzer going to the New York Mets, Dylan.
Well, yesterday or 2 days ago, I want to say, when they traded Robertson, which, first of all, the Robertson one, I'm all for them being sellers, don't get me wrong, but when you're getting a penny on the dollar for the best closer on the market, Billy Epler, he's really trying to break this organization from the inside. I truly believe that. He's awful. So we got 2 prospects that, call me a negative Nancy, but I don't think they'll ever sniff the majors, let alone AAA. And then we trade Max Scherzer for Acuna for his brother, and I heard rumors he doesn't even want to be there. So he's only in AA. I don't even think he's going to be, I think we're going to trade him. So I don't really know. He said he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild, which Billy Epler, I think, rephrased it and said it's liquidation. Fucking whatever the hell that means. He's trying to save his ass. But I don't know. I like it, and I understand the move. You could kind of tell by his comments after the Peterson that he kind of checked out and he kind of wants to be in a contender, which we clearly aren't. So I understand it. I think Verlander pitched well today, but it's probably going to be his last game today as well. So I think some people are on the move, but I don't think
you think Verlander's going to go?
Yeah, I do. I
really?
do. Yeah, just because there's just no. It's just we've lost the locker room. Even Pete Alonso has come out and he hasn't gotten his contract. He said if people with no trade clauses are getting traded, then no one is safe, which I agree. I think we're not going to trade like Brett Beatty, Francisco Alvarez, but like guys like Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo, who we've locked in for 5 years, I think they're safe and we'll build around them. But other than that, I don't see it. I really don't.
While we're on the subject of Texas, because they don't have a game tomorrow, so we won't be talking about them. They have made another splash in the last half an hour or so. Is Jordan Montgomery from the St. Louis Cardinals. So Texas are absolutely going for it. I mean, they've given up another couple of prospects. So I think they're 11th and 14th pipeline prospects. So they've done that to get sort of 10 starts out of Scherzer, 10 starts out of Montgomery, and then whatever they can throw out in the playoffs. Corresponding to that is that Nathan Eovaldi's got to the IL, the 15-day IL. So it just kind of makes sense that they needed some immediate cover, because since the All-Star break, the Texas have remained competitive, and Houston is still wobbling, and they're giving themselves a live chance. So yeah, you've got to be kind of all in on what Texas are doing. They're absolutely going for it. So, Montgomery.
I say something real quick? Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, the Mets, they're being bad. They're going to have a good draft pick. The Mets can't draft for shit. That's why our farm system has been so bad. In the last 10 years, I'm going to give you a stat that'll blow your mind. In the last 10 years, we've drafted 328 players. Do you know how many of them have reached the majors?
26.
No, very close. 30. Only 9% were last in the majors. But you see teams like the Cincinnati Reds, Arizona Diamondbacks, young teams that are building through their farm system. We don't have hope like that. And Steve, it's 1977 all over again. We're trying to buy everything, and it's just going right in front of our face. So I don't trust Billy Epler. He'll probably save his job making all these moves, trying to get all these prospects and build our farm system. These guys aren't even going to reach the majors.
Excellent. Roosevelt Wilson said hello to you, though, Dylan. So, I mean, if that cheers you, very good evening, Roosevelt. How are you? Nice to see you. New name to me in the YouTube channel. I'll tell you about the SGPN Patreon wage and war against corporate gambling before we get our teeth into the rest of the card here. Loads of exclusive content, contests and merch. The monthly SGP Stories podcast, which is an ad-free, uncensored show highlighting the best stories from decades of big and degens. The Discord channel and exclusive perks, all sorts of things at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. 7:05, the Tampa Bay Rays at the New York Yankees. We have Tyler Glasnow officially for Tampa Bay. New York is TBD. We both think it's Domingo Germán going in this one. So again, back to you, Dylan. You priced this one up?
Yeah, priced this one up, like you said. No lines, but I did make the Rays a -155 favorite, -1.5 with the Rays. I need a +110. Total is set at 8.2. Usually, we like to fade teams that play on Sunday Night Baseball, and then they have to travel. Maryland to New York isn't that far, but they still won't get back around New York till around midnight tonight. So. Plus, it looks like the Rays bats have kind of woken up a little in this series against the Astros. And I honestly, personally, have liked the way Glasnow has been pitching in the month of July. He hasn't allowed more than 2 runs in 5 of his last 6 starts. He's cut down the walks like he did when he first came into the season. His strikeouts have increased as well. Aaron Judge came back. He did have a nice home run as well the other night, but I just think this offense might struggle against Glasnow. Has been really dealing. So I really liked what I've seen. I haven't liked what I've seen, from Germán in his last few starts. The Yankees have lost his last 3 starts. His hard hit rate is extremely high. And back when he versed the Rays, I think back in May, it was extremely high. They did win that game, but I think he got kind of lucky in those starts. So I think the Rays are going to pounce on the Yankees tomorrow on the road. So give me the Rays depending on what the number is.
Yeah, I think the Rays will win, but I just don't trust them enough. That they needed that win tonight. Sometimes you just get sort of gifted a little something. They got staked to a 4-0 lead quite early on. I think the first runs in that game came on an error as well. Andy Diaz did some got bat on ball, and Houston helped them out, taking the lead. And Tampa Bay held on to that, but they haven't been good enough. They haven't been anywhere near good enough for me to want to trust them lately. Glasnow has. He's been really good in low-scoring games. I don't want anything to do with Germán, who's had back-to-back chockers. Aaron Judge obviously is going to make a huge difference. Kind of the difference he makes to this Yankees team is incredible, really. So can't say at the Rays, certainly not at that price if they're going to be around minus 150. But I'm all right with the under. You've got an 8.2, so if the line's at 8.5, maybe. I think the under, say Glasnow's been pitching well. Tampa Bay in a low scoring game, 3-1, 3-2, something like that. That would be my pick there. Next up is a 7:05 Eastern first pitch between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Washington Nationals. Corbin Burns for the Brewers and Jake Irvin goes for Washington. It's minus 195 on Milwaukee, plus 165 on Washington, with a total set at 9. Milwaukee just been swept by Atlanta this weekend. A lot of teams will suffer that fate. They are 9-6 on the year. Corbin Burns, 3.46 ERA. He's been great lately, absolutely great. We've followed him a lot. Lonte's been really keen on him the last few weeks. He's given up max 2 earned runs in sort of 6, 7, 8 innings pitched to getting good length out of him. 3 of his last 5 starts have all came against Cincinnati. And he stymied us more than once. He had us. He won that game 1-0 against Graham Ashcraft and the Reds when we took Ashcraft. He's been going really well. 1.64 ERA in those last 5 starts. He's fine on the road. The only thing is, the Brewers are just remain bang average. Like, say they come up against a good team this weekend and they just can't get it done. They're 5-5 in the last 10. They've lost 3 in a row. They'll go okay tomorrow because Jake Irvin isn't very good. He's 3-5 on the year, 4.96 ERA. He's going to give you 3 or 4 earned runs. Washington have actually won 3 of his last 5 starts, but 4 of them have been at home. 4 of them, yeah, and he's much worse on the road. This is really hard because you're just expecting Milwaukee to win, but do you trust them enough to get this done on the run line? And I don't. We've seen Burns take these low scoring games down. It was kind of a system play last week in that series against the Reds. Washington don't score many, and I don't trust Brewers to get all the way to 9 by themselves. So I'll take the under again, Dylan. Under 9 for me, please.
Yeah, I set my total at 9.1, so it's right around my number. I'm gonna take the Brewers on the run line, minus 111. You know, Burns has been great on the road this season, much better than at home, surprisingly. A little hiccup in his last start, but, you know, Burns hasn't allowed more than 2 runs in over a month. I feel like he's been dialed in. His hard hit rate has been in the 20s when pitching on the road. As for Jake Irving, he's not really someone I kind of want to back. He's given up 3 or more runs in 5 of his last 6 starts. Nationals have been a little feisty recently. They did lose today, but I think Burns are going to have a dominant outing tomorrow. No value in taking them. They're almost a $2 favorite, but minus 111 on the run line isn't terrible. So small lean. I'll take the Brewers on the run line.
7:07 Eastern first pitch is the Baltimore Orioles at the Toronto Blue Jays. Kyle Gibson for the O's, and for the Blue Jays it would be Chris Bassett. Plus 110 on Baltimore, minus 130 on Toronto. Total is set at 9. Kyle Gibson, 9-6, 4.68 on the year. He's pretty easy to handicap. Gibson, 5 or 6 innings, 2, 3, 4 earned runs. He's got the 4.14 road ERA for Gibson is absolutely spot on. It's not egregious. He hasn't pitched better than that. He hasn't pitched worse than that. You pretty much know what you're going to get from Gibson. Chris Bassett is 10-5 on the year. He has a 3.91 ERA. He's been really good lately, especially at home. His last 12 innings, 2 starts, 12 innings scoreless against the Padres and the Diamondbacks. The total in those games were 4-0 and 5-2. Now, this weekend, Toronto against the Angels, they won a couple of low-scoring games. They lost tonight 3-2, and they're still impossible to trust. But this is a decent comparison series actually for the comparison game. For those Angels games. The 4.5 games back to Baltimore. This is a chance for Toronto to throw their hat into the ring. I'm going to continue to fade Gibson. This is a pitcher thing for me. I'll take the Blue Jays. It'll be low scoring, but they can scratch out like they have done against the Angels this week. They can scratch out an extra run that they need to. And I like the under as well. I think the Blue Jays will get it done in a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Blue Jays here as well as the over. I made the Blue Jays a -150 favorite, made my total 9.4. But I got the short price with the Blue Jays earlier in the day around -120. They're at -140 right now. So they're getting around my price. But yeah, Chris Bassett has been great at home this season. Blue Jays 6-1 in his last 7 home starts. The lone loss was to the A's, believe it or not, a few starts ago. But his hard hit rate is in the high 20s. And I think just Bassett is going to want to win this game badly, since you mentioned they're right there in the thick of things in the wild card. And last time he faced the Orioles, he got rocked. So might be a little bounce back spot, revenge spot for him at home. I do think they have the pitching advantage with Chris Bassett. So I think it's going to be a different outcome than his last outing against the Orioles. Give me the Blue Jays with you as well.
7:20 Eastern first pitch is the LA Angels at the Atlanta Braves. Griffin Canning goes for the Angels. Charlie Morton draws the start for Atlanta. It's +205 on the Angels, -245 for the Braves, and the total is set at 10, Dylan.
Yeah, I think from a side perspective, the value is definitely on the Angels. I saw a +205 earlier in the day. I mean, I only made the Braves a -180 favorite. So I know it's hard to fade the Braves at this point, especially at home. They're just coming off a sweep, but Angels are 7-3 in their last 10, and Griffin Canning hasn't been all that bad on the road this season. His hard hit rate is under that 40% threshold that we look for. Angels 4-2 in his last 6 starts on the road. And Charlie Morton really hasn't looked his best in the last 2 starts. He's just back behind one of the greatest lineups. So he has given up 4 runs in both of his last 2 starts that they lost. Angels are a top 10 offense, so maybe they could keep it rolling against Morton. Maybe want to back him first 5, but I think we see a higher scoring game. But I'll take a flyer with the Angels. I know no one really wants to get in front of this Braves train, but I think the value is there with them.
Dylan, I absolutely agree with you. -245 for Morton and the Braves is just of no appeal whatsoever. They could very easily win. I mean, they've turned over the Brewers 8-6 tonight. I did look at the over until I saw the 10. I mean, again, I'm looking at that total of 14 tonight and thinking this could be a similar game. So it wouldn't put me off. But just the more I think about the Angels at that price, I really like Griffin Canning. He's been in very, very good form. So the Angels done okay at Toronto. They were competitive. They scratched out a win tonight. But I think they're too big a price here. And Atlanta have thrown in the odd shocker lately. They score a lot of runs, so the over 10 would be a play. But yeah, if you're going to pick a side, I think you have to take the Angels.
Yeah, I agree on the over. Just because we do have winds blowing out, and the way the Atlanta Braves have been swinging the bat, I think they could get half of it themselves.
8:05 Eastern first pitch is the Cincinnati Reds at the Chicago Cubs. Andrew Abbott, left-handed pitcher for the Reds, and Marcus Stroman goes for the Cubbies. +105 on Cincinnati, -125 on the Cubs. No total because we are in Wrigley. Andrew Abbott has been absolutely outstanding. 6-2 with a 190 ERA. He started 10 games now, giving up 13 earned runs, but 6 of them were in one outing. Of the others, he's had 5 scoreless starts and 2 starts where he's only given up 1. That's more than good enough for me. Cincinnati if they didn't have the Brewers as this bogey team, they'd still be going along really well. They'd be more than competitive in LA this weekend. Close games. I'm pleased they've broken it open tonight. They lead 7-0 as we speak, behind a Graham Ashcraft start. And they go back in first with a win tonight, so I think they'd like to capitalise up. Marcus Stroman's lost it. 10-7, 3.51 ERA, but 7.99 ERA in his last 5. He hasn't made it out to the 3rd inning, his last 2 starts. The Cubbies were playing well. They won 8 in a row before tonight. They've kind of dragged themselves back into the playoff race. They've announced they're not going to trade Cody Bellinger because they're going to try and make a run this year. But yeah, I love Cincinnati. It never takes me much to want to back them. And the presence of Andrew Abbott and Marcus Stroman is more than enough here. Plus money for Andrew Abbott. Delighted. +105. Give me the Reds, Dylan.
Yeah, +105 I like. I got a +125 when lines opened up. Usually, I mean, I like Stroman and I like to back him at home, but I only made the Cubs a minus 110 favorite. So I got a plus 125. I'll happily take that. Plus 105 still. I still like it. I know the Cubs, they've been on fire. They did lose today, but 10-2 in their last 12. I just think the Reds are a much better team, even regardless of their winning streak. I still like the Reds a little more. They're 4-1 straight up against the Cubs this season. They swept them the last time they were in Wrigley. And I agree with everything you said about Andrew Abbott. He's been amazing this season. His hard hit rate has been way down. He gets a lot of ground balls. He hasn't allowed more than 3 runs. He's only allowed more than 3 runs just one time, and it was his worst outing against the Brewers. So I think they're live tomorrow. I know my numbers came out as the Cubs being the favorite, but I actually think the Reds should be the favorite on the road. So plus 125, plus 105 for the better pitcher, in my opinion. Yeah, I'll take the dog as well.
Okie doke. We've got 4 games left to look at. I'll tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Our sponsor here. The NFL season is right around the corner. Underdog Pick'em is a great way to get down on a ton of NFL player props. Plus plenty of opportunities to win in their daily MLB contests. Make sure to enter Best Ball Mania 4. First place gets $3 million. Head over to underdogfantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. 8:10 Eastern first pitch. The Cleveland Guardians at the Houston Astros. Cleveland have Noah Syndergaard going for them. JP France. We think it is for the Astros, although it is officially TBD. So, yeah, we'll throw this to Dylan to see what lines you might have for us.
Yeah, another game off the board. Like you said, Syndergaard going for the Guardians. JP France, I think, is going for the Astros. I made the Astros a minus 180 favorite, minus 1.5. I need a plus 105 to take with the Astros on the run line. Total set at 9.8. I think we could see a higher score game in this one. Look at the totals for the Astros and Rays in this series. They just 2 of the 3 games just went way over the total. And with Syndergaard on the mound, especially on the road, I think the Astros could tee off on him. I know his road and home splits were with the Dodgers, but still, he hasn't been good on the road all season. He only had 1 good outing on the road this season. And I think I've said it a few pods ago, the Guardians' bats have quietly picked up. They're averaging 4.5 runs per game in their last 5 games. I think both pitchers are good for a few runs. JP France has given up some runs at home as well. Yordan Alvarez, Altuve's back in this lineup. I think that provides a little spark for them. So I think we see runs galore in this game. So depending on the number, like I said, I made my total 9.8. I'm looking at an over here.
Yeah, I can see some runs early here, but it's Houston runs that I'm looking at. This is Syndergaard's first start for the Guardians. So, I mean, who knows what you're going to get? You absolutely do not know. What I'm quite confident of is that this is going to be quite a short start. If he gets up to 3rd inning, I'd be surprised. I think Houston can go to town on him. JP France has been really good at home. You say Cleveland bats have been a little bit better lately, but I do think Houston could have 4 or 5 runs on the board by the time we get the end of the 5th here. So give me Houston first 5 on the run line. I think they could light up Noah Syndergaard early on here. A decent start for JP France. 8:40 Eastern first pitch is the San Diego Padres at the Colorado Rockies. We have Seth Lugo for San Diego. And, this is a new name. This is not the name I saw half an hour ago. Austin Gomber, left-handed pitcher, going for Colorado. I had, was it Paul Lambert? Peter Lambert. Peter Lambert was going for Colorado. Now seeing Austin Gomber, which hasn't helped me at all. I've got no lines on this. Who did you have going?
I had Austin Gomber going.
Did you?
Yeah.
How's that happened then? I only handicapped Seth Lugo about 30 seconds before we started.
Let me go and you get yourself situated.
Yeah, go ahead, because I haven't got much on this.
Yeah, like Mal said, Seth Lugo should be going for the Padres. Austin Gomber going for the Rockies. I made the Padres a minus 190 favorite, minus 1.5 for the Padres. I need a minus 125 for them. Total set kind of high, 12.5. Surprisingly enough, Austin Gomber has not been good at home this season at all. Usually we see pitchers for the Rockies be better at home than on the road, but Padres should open up the favorite. I think the Rockies, have not looked good. They've lost 4 straight. I think they might get swept by the A's at home. That's how bad they've been playing. So Padres, they've owned the Rockies this season, and they should win this game. I just trust Lugo way more than I do Gambert. His hard hit rate at home has been in the high 40s, hovering around close to 50%. So I think the Padres could tee off on Austin Gambert tomorrow. So I think this is a good spot for them. I also think we'll see some runs. So depending on the number, if we could get maybe 11 and a half, I'll like the over. But if we could get plus money on the Padres on the run line, I'll happily take that as well.
Yeah, just looking at Gomber's, his home numbers aren't great, but that kind of season on. Recently, he's been all right, He gave up 4 earned through 6 against Houston, and then only 2 earned through 6 against the Yankees. He's gone long, 6 or 7 every start. And the totals have come in quite low, so 11 against Washington, which would have gone to the over. That was in Washington. But then 5, the total was 5 in that Houston game. It was 9 against the Yankees. It was 7 against the Giants before that. So I think this total will be inflated as well. But Seth Lugo's been good. 393 on the year. The Padres are interesting. They've got around about a 30% chance of making the playoffs. They are 4.5 games back in the wild card. And I don't think they know what to do if they ever did, because if they spent a load of money, they've been a shambles. I've seen that they're listening to trade offers for Soto, Snell, and Hader at the moment.
Do you think so? I read Snell?
Yeah, definitely.
I think so too.
Yeah. Someone, I don't know if one of the DJs here, I don't know if it's Trev possibly, has got a Snell to the Orioles ticket. I think it is at 16-1.
That's what they need. They need another pitcher.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this is a tricky one, but I'm going to lean to the under here. I think the number's going to come out. What was your number, Dylan? Did you have one?
Yeah,
about 11.
No, my total was 12.5.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, high.
Yeah, definitely the under. Like I say, Gomber kind of gets his numbers look a little bit lopsided from his early season form. He's pitched twice against the Padres this season, giving up 10 earned on 10 innings pitched, which doesn't bode well. But you just can't trust the Padres. They did it. That does not mean they're going to do it again if they did it once. So yeah, give me your first 5 under and give me a full game under here, because you say the Rockies just can't hit even a little bit. Next is the penultimate game on the show. The Boston Red Sox at the Seattle Mariners. Boston are TBD. We reckon it's my guy, Brian Bello. Seattle have George Kirby going. Dylan, what were your lines and then your thoughts?
Yeah, should be a good series. Two really good teams fighting for a playoff spot. Like you said, George Kirby going for the Mariners, Brian Bello for the Red Sox. I made the Mariners a -125 favorite at home, -1.5 with them. I need a +155 to take them. Total set at 7.5. Like I said, both teams playing really good baseball right now, and I know I've changed my stance on Brian Bello. I do like him, but I still like George Kirby just a tad better right now, especially at home. He's had a very solid outing against the same Red Sox team back in May on the road, where he only allowed 1 run to this lineup, and the Mariners actually won that game 10-1, surprisingly enough. But Bello, he has struggled a little more on the road than at home this season. Just look at his last start on the road, where he gave up 6 runs in 4 innings to the A's. Overall, I just feel like he hasn't had the best July, and the way the Mariners are swinging the bat, they're up right now, I think 3 or 4-0. I think he can struggle a little tomorrow. So anything under a -125, I'll probably take the Mariners here.
I found this game really, really hard to call. It was the hardest one on the board for me because I do like Bello. He had that bad start at Oakland, but then was okay at Atlanta, perversely. And I think he'll probably go for 2 or 3 earned on the road. The problem is Kirby, to last his 3, he's been rocked. So you've got 2 teams and 2 starting pitchers with similar profiles for me. So it was quite hard to split them. I'm going to take Boston first 5 here. I'm going to play on the angle that Kirby's gone for a few in his last couple of starts. And like I say, I do like Bello, but it's not just a blind pick. It's a close one, but I think Boston can have their noses in front at the halfway stage here. So yeah, Boston first 5 for me. Finally, this one's all over the place. I don't know what they're playing at. 9:45 Eastern. The Arizona Diamondbacks at the San Francisco Giants. All day, I have seen no D-backs pitcher until right now, where I've seen Ryan Nelson. All day, I have seen Alex Cobb for San Francisco until right now, when they've taken him off the board. So I had Cobb v no one all day. I've now got Nelson v no one the other way around. Do you reckon it's Nelson v Cobb, Dylan?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm looking at MLB.com, and usually that's what I kind of go by for my numbers. But yeah, I literally, I don't know, 30 minutes before we went on live, I definitely saw Alex Cobb. I've seen him all
He's been
day.
there all day, mate.
And now it says TBD. But yeah, I got my lines are made up of Ryan Nelson and Alex Cobb going. So I made the Giants a -170 favorite at home, -1.5. I need a +120. Total set at 7.8. I think the reason my numbers came out this big on the Giants is just because how good Alex Cobb is at home. He hasn't allowed a run at home since May 16th against the Phillies, and the Giants still won that game. So last time he faced the Arizona Diamondbacks, he went 7 scoreless innings. Giants won 6-2. Meanwhile, Ryan Nelson, he's just a little too inconsistent for my liking. Both teams desperately need a win, both 3-7 in their last 10 games. So if it is these two pitchers, I think I got to take the much better pitcher in Alex Cobb. Maybe not the full game, but I'll probably be on the Giants if Alex Cobb is going. So like I said, I made him a -170. Hopefully we could get a short number since they are struggling right now. But yeah, I do like the Giants if Alex Cobb is pitching.
Yeah, you're right about Ryan Nelson. For me, it's the fact that he's prone to a blow up. His 6-5 record sort of tells you where he is, but I think that 4.97 ERA is too high. He goes along really steady though for 3 or 4 starts, and then bosh, he's back up giving up 6 or 7 earned runs again. However, Cobb is generally and genuinely reliable. He had a bad start at Cincinnati, but he's 4-1 at home. He has a 1.09 ERA there. The totals in those games are what's swung it for me. 3-6, 4-2 in those last 4 starts. This looks like a pretty standard Giants home game. It's a nice pattern to follow. It's a pitcher's park. I think it's going to be an under. I think the total, you said 7.8. So if we get an under 8, I'd take it. If we get an under 8.5, I would be delighted. Okay. But yeah, the either team could win this, but yeah, maybe the Giants game 4-2, 4-1, something like that, in a relatively close game. But yeah, Giants and low scoring for me would be my theory there. Dylan, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we made it to the end. I'm fully aware it was a little bit messy, people, but I don't know what you want us to do. So, locking a dog, Dylan, can you drag anything out of those ashes?
Yeah, these lines are all subject to change. Just FYI, just in case.
Very much so.
Yeah, just in case we get different pitchers. But yeah, I'll start. I was gonna take the Marlins as a dog, but I don't know if they'll open up that big. As my lock, you kind of convinced me. I'll take the Astros first 5 -0.5. I just think they're gonna destroy Syndergaard. He's shown you what he does on the road, and the Astros bats have kind of woken up in this series against the Rays. So you put me onto a good bet. I think we'll get a decent number first 5 -0.5 with the Astros as my lock. And as my dog, I was going to take the Angels, but that's being a little too ballsy, I think. Give me the short puppy. Give me the Reds. I think Andrew Abbott, I think he's going to have a masterclass against the Cubs. And like you said, Stroman has not made it out of the 3rd inning, and I think his last 2 or 3 starts. So hasn't been going along. He's just, like you said, he's just kind of lost it right now. So I'll take the Reds. I think they're a much better team on the road. And like I said, they've owned the Cubs this year. So I'll take the Reds as my dog, and I'll take Houston first 5 -0.5 as my lock.
Now, all those teams that you mentioned there, Dylan, are the teams that came into my thinking. For my lock, I'm going to take your dog. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Reds. I think they're in a great spot. Confidence boosting win tonight. Decent form. And Andrew Abbott's just been sensational. Absolutely sensational. Plus 105 is a great price. For my dog, I have a line through the LA Angels. I wrote them down, Dylan, and I've lost my nerve. I need to man up and take them. Right. Oh, shit. Because I've got Miami at plus 115. Mm-hmm. So that I don't know what to do.
I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, you didn't want it. Right, okay, fuck it. We both we had a bit of a fuck it afternoon here. Right, I'll take the LA Angels at plus 205. Griffin Canning, yeah, he's probably like say Brian Bellows on the board. He's one of my boys. Andrew Emmett has been, but Griffin Canning exactly has been as well. So yeah, Charlie Morton, we'll go with the old guy fade. We'll take Griffin Canning, this ridiculous LA Angels team. They're buyers now. All of a sudden, they need to make a playoff push so they can carry that on tomorrow. Plus 205 to get the win at Atlanta.
You'll look like a genius if they beat the Braves on the road at 2-1. You're a fucking genius.
Well, you know? Yeah, it's the old blind squirrel and nut scenario. I don't often look like a genius on the show. That's because I'm not one, Dylan. I'm an idiot, as you all well know. Yeah, it's true though. Anything else you want to tell the people about before we leave?
No. I think some teams like the Padres, I think they will be sellers. They really, like you said, they really don't know what they're doing right now, but I expect things to pick up, ended today. I think the St. Louis Cardinals, they sold Jordan Hicks to the Blue Jays. That was another one that happened before we went on live. And yeah, I think certain teams like they're going to be sellers. St. Louis Cardinals, Cubs, I think they're going for it apparently. So yeah, we got that going on. I think things are going to pick up around today, tomorrow, and then Tuesday at the deadline, I think at 4:00. So hopefully Verlander, hopefully Tommy Pham, Mark Canhit, Daniel Fatback, all of them. I hope they're all fucking gone.
Shit, well done, Dylan. That's picking me up a bit. All right, thanks everyone for joining us. Like I say, I'm sorry the show was a little bit of a mess. Hopefully there's one nugget in there. In fact, just going back to the LA Angels, and we'll come back on Tuesday and talk about this. That's what we'll do. Fuck the rest of the show. It was bollocks. Cheers everyone who joined us in the chat. Ryan's back in the Angels. That is a fact. Slick Rick, Roosevelt, etc. We'll be back tomorrow with some proper lines and some proper analysis and some winners. Until then, we will see you down the road. Cheers.